Hi everyone, my name is Michelle. I'm a therapist in the Seattle, Washington area with my practice, Next Chapter Counseling. And today it felt important to make a video addressing what's been going on in our nation since May 25th. And that's the day that George Floyd was murdered by police in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I wanted to make a video today to talk about how this has affected people's relationships with others that they are close to since that time, because there can be very different opinions out there right now in the worlds of social media and in people you may be having conversations with in real life about what people's take is about this. While at least my experience with the people that I am close to in my life and with where I live geographically in the country in Seattle, there is a pretty general consensus that what happened to George Floyd, the actions that those officers took, were wrong. And people have still had varying opinions about the aftermath of all of that, about what's been going on with the protests and the lootings and things like that. And whenever something major happens in this world, it has the possibility to impact our relationships with the people we're close to when we have very different opinions or very different takes and perspectives on what has occurred. And at least I've seen in my life personally that I recall when Trump was elected in 2016, there was a lot of divisiveness then. There were the people who had either voted for him or the people who had not. And I heard personally and with friends of mine and others who I was close to and experienced it myself as well, that it was hard at times to maintain friendships or relationships with people who had voted differently than I did, who had voted for him when I did not. That was a hard pill to swallow. And I want to make it clear that what's going on right now, in my opinion, is not an issue of politics. I think there are attempts to make it political, but this is an issue about human lives being taken unnecessarily because of racism. That's what's going on here. This is a different matter than just, oh, someone's a Democrat and someone's Republican. This is different than that. And so it's hard for me now, fast forwarding 4 years later, from 2016 to 2020, to see that there is divisiveness happening on this topic, on this matter as well. It's hard to see people on social media who I am close to posting comments that are at best ignorant and at worst clearly racist. And to see other people who I am friends with not taking a stand, remaining silent, this is hard to see. So this affects our relationships with the people in our lives. If you see someone in your social media who is taking a stance that you strongly disagree with, how is it going to be the next time you might see that person in person? What might you say to them? What might you do? How may this impact your relationships in your life with what's going on in the world? And that's what I wanted to talk about today, is how to address this and what to do. And I want to start off by saying that I think it is really important, to the degree that you feel comfortable, to the degree that you feel ready, to not stay silent. That if you see somebody posting something on Facebook, especially because this is a matter of racism, again, not just different political views, racism, that if you feel comfortable, ready, and willing, that you do say something to stand up to what you may see being said and spread around, whether it's online or in person. And this is a tall order. This is a hard thing to do. It's not easy. And it's also really important that we do our best to say something to draw attention to hate not being okay. So that's the first thing that I would say, is that even though there might be a part of you that worries, this is someone I'm really close to, maybe it's a family member or a really close friend, I don't want to rock the boat or create, any kind of conflict between me and this person. I get that perspective, and at the same time, it's important to stand up. So figuring out what that may look like for you, and within, again, that unique context of that relationship with that person in your life. But it's important to say something. And it's also really important to make sure that whatever you do say is said with respect. Even if the other person said something that was highly disrespectful, to make sure that when you respond to them, you are using respectful language. Does not mean that you have to validate, condone, anything like that what they said, but to make sure that you are not calling them names, spewing hate back at them, that you are responding calmly and with respect to clearly state your point about what the issue was with what they said. Make sure you're doing that in a respectful manner. The other thing that I would encourage is that, because, especially since COVID-19 is still going on in the world and a lot of people are still socially distancing and staying at home and things like that, but if this is someone in your life who you are really close to, somebody who you don't want to cut them out of your life just because they are making comments that are hateful, you don't want to cut them out of your life, but you also want to, like I just said, say something. If that's the rock and the hard place that you're stuck between, I really encourage you to do what you can to have a conversation with them. If having a conversation in person is not feasible, to talk over the phone or to do a video call, to take it off of social media where there might be a really long comment thread between the two of you, and have a one-on-one conversation in real time in which you say, let's talk about this. I'm hopefully really important in your life and I'm not going anywhere. You're really important in my life and you're not going anywhere. And also, I'm struggling to see how we can keep our relationship strong and good as it comes to light that we have really different views. How do we do that? And to both hear the other person out, even if you are well aware that you don't agree with their side, and even if, again, their side is ignorant at best and racist and hateful at worst, that you hear their side, they hear yours, and that you guys are able to respectfully dialogue about where you each stand by talking to one another, not just commenting. To take the time to really do that. And it doesn't mean that at the end of this conversation, their point of view is going to change or anything like that, but hopefully it will help you each be able to say that you took a step to try to talk about this, to name the elephant in the room, so that the next time you see each other, you're not sitting there uncomfortably wanting to address the things that they said, but not knowing how to do it. You will have already done it. So, talking and dialoguing with somebody, again, you may not change their mind, but at least you're putting it out there on the table of recognizing we both feel really differently here. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about why we're each feeling the way that we're feeling. And let's both try to get as educated as we can be about what's really going on here factually in this world, in this country. So I hope this is helpful. I think this is a really hard video to make. I feel a little unprepared to make it, and it also felt really important as I have seen this come up and others have too, that you're scrolling through your social media and you're seeing people in your life posting things that are wrong, things that are racist, things that are harmful to other human beings. That, how do you reconcile this isn't right, and also I want to keep this person in my life? How do I do that if that's the choice you decide to make? I also absolutely support if it feels right for you. And again, I think this happened a lot 4 years ago when Trump was elected. There was a lot of unfriending, there was a lot of blocking going on, a lot of lines being drawn in the sand of I can't associate myself with somebody who feels this way. There was a lot of that. And again, I think there already is and will likely continue to be a lot of that now. And that's not bad necessarily. But there's also a lot of people out there who, again, you want to keep people in your life who you've been close to, you want to keep them around. You want to also be able to say something and figure out how you can still have a relationship when you guys feel so differently about something, and to see if that's possible. And hopefully, if you are willing to start that conversation respectfully and to really go back and forth and give each other the time and space that you need to talk about it, if both of you can do that in a respectful way, the relationship between the two of you, if you want it to go on, hopefully has some hope. But that's what it takes, is doing those three things that I named today: of first saying something, doing so respectfully, and doing it hopefully through a phone call or in person or something like that, so that you both can really speak more fully to your perspective. If you have a question for me about love or relationships, send me an email, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone.